gains are coming off. In fact, there's a reversal on stocks like Balrampur, Dhampur, mild negative on many of these names as we see. Yeah, Renuka is also just about 0.5% higher right now. Yesterday, the big rally happened because of expectations of a hike in minimum support price for the sugar industry. And of course, this is an industry that's been advocating for the MSP of sugar to be set anywhere between 40 to 41 rupees per kilogram. To talk about this and the prospects for some of the sugar stocks going forward, we have with us Prashant Biyani, Vice President, Institutional Equity Research and Sector Lead for Agri Inputs, Sugar and Hotels at Elara Securities. Thanks very much. Good to have you on the show. So your first thoughts, about this whole rally that kind of came in because there's an expectation of an MSP hike. Do you see this figure actually playing through 40, 41 rupees, considering the government will also be cognizant of inflation, food inflation, which has been very sticky at close to 7.5%?
Correct. So we don't expect an increase in MSP at least in the next 3 to 4 months. And even if in the next season, if there is an increase in MSP, I think yesterday's one of the news article also suggested that it could be lower than what industry has been asking for. So we don't see even in the medium term if MSP is announced, unless it is at a reasonable level, it is going to have any impact on the current sugar price because the prices already are quite resilient despite high sugar production. So we don't see to sum it up, we don't see an impact of any increase in MSP, even if it is in the next 6 months, if the price hike is not enough.
Right, Prashant, good morning. Thanks a lot for joining in. And that was my question, actually, the next one, as that because since you mentioned that there does not seem to be an impact, I'm assuming there would be no impact on the margins of the sugar companies as well, considering the fact that the prices currently are already above the MSP. So what do you believe? So will that have any impact on the margins, if at all an MSP increase is put in place?
We don't see an impact of it at all in case of increase in sugar MSP. Obviously, it also depends on quantum of hike, what they want to do. But typically in the past, we have seen increase in MSP happens when sugar prices are quite subdued or if the industry is bleeding in terms of profitability. And neither of these two are the scenarios right now. As I mentioned, despite higher than anticipated sugar production, prices have been quite resilient. And the profitability is also decent on the overall basis because ethanol offtake has been quite good. And government has supported in terms of better prices also for grain and C-heavy ethanol.
Speaking of ethanol, is there an expectation of higher prices on that front as well, Prashant? And again, one can expect and hope. The question is what will actually be delivered. What's your view on the ethanol side in terms of pricing?
Yeah, so for the remaining part of current season, most of the ethanol offtake should be of C-heavy ethanol and grain ethanol. So for both of these, government has already increased the prices. So at least for the current season, we don't see any further increase in price. For the next season, again, government has to see what prices they want to keep it at because the ethanol price is revised every season. So for this season, the prices have already been changed.
Okay, so let's talk about sector dynamics and profitability. Now you're saying that obviously even if MSP is high, it's an optical thing because prevailing prices are probably close to this level. I guess would be around 40 rupees at the retail level. What would be the prevailing prices?
At the retail level, it is between 48 to 54, depending on what kind of sugar you want to consume. But at the ex-mill price for Maharashtra is, I think, somewhere around 37.50. And for UP or North India, it would be around 38.50, 39 something.
Okay.
Okay.
So then tell us what would be the more critical factors at play I'm just talking about, from a sugar stocks perspective. If MSP is not really a big trigger and ethanol price hike you're not expecting anytime soon either, then what could be the next trigger? Something on the export front? I think global prices have also been elevated. So do you see more exports being allowed at all? And maybe that could be the next booster.
So government will first try to get a sense on how is the cane crop doing in the current season. So given that we have an expectation of good monsoon, so the cane crop should yield some bit better than some bit better yield of sugar than what we were estimating. But before taking any action on the policy front for sugar exports or any increase in MSP, government will first try to get a sense on the sugarcane crop quality, which again will take some time. Then coming to sugar, I think we should end this year with around 8 billion tons of closing stock. So we have enough sugar stock in the country. If government wants to export it, there is headroom to export. But again, it will depend on next year production expectation. Government may be erring on the side of caution to see that there is adequate availability of sugar. So it largely depends on the next season how the crop is going to be. On the sugar price, as I told you, the prices are quite resilient right now. Now coming on the ethanol side, this year the ethanol program got disrupted a bit, but because we have a high sugar stock in the country, we expect ethanol program to reinstate to its normal level going into next year. The only variable within ethanol would be the ethanol price, at what level they want to keep it.
Prashant, I wanted to go back to the exports bit. Now, you were mentioning that you'd end the year with 8 billion tons of sugar, and ISMA is pushing for exports of close to 2 billion tons. Do you see now that there are enough reports that are also saying that there is comfortable supply in the market as well? Do you see that this 2 billion ton demand ask is reasonable considering the stock that you currently have, or you projecting to end the year with?
I would say between 1 to 2 would be reasonable, not exactly 2. But again, I think government will certainly look at the stock of the cane crop quality for next season. On export front also, we expect a decision only during the end of this calendar year or maybe early part of next year. This year, I don't think in the next 3 to 4 months there's going to be any decision on export. If there is any, it could be a bold decision on the part of the government.
Okay, well, I guess the hope trade is based on the idea that some of these bold decisions will come through, either in terms of higher exports or maybe higher ethanol pricing. Finally, Prashant, leave us with your calls on the sector in terms of stocks. Do you like anything? What are your buys and what's the rationale if you have any picks?
Yeah, so we like Balrampur in this space. Again, this year was disrupted for the industry due to lower blending. But next year, we expect the blending program to resume. Balrampur is taking quite a bit of efforts to increase the cane acreage within its area to improve the cane quality as well as yield. We like Balrampur in the space. And the company is also venturing into PLA, which is likely to commence production from FY27, though it's a bit back-ended. But I think the growth for the company in FY26 and beyond looks quite good. So our top pick would be Balrampur.
Balrampur Chini, then the top pick for Elara Securities. Prashant, thanks a lot for joining in, sharing your views on the sector and your top pick as well, which is Balrampur Chini. Time for a short break here on Trading Hour. Up next, we'll discuss what's buzzing in the commodity space. Manisha Gupta joins us on the other side.